So if you watch TPC Sawgrass, there's some unbelievable mental moments that happened. And those mental moments popped up because what makes that golf course so hard is that there is danger at every single element throughout that course. And then you added in the elements. And the PGA Tour moved that tournament from May to March specifically for what happened this weekend. The winds picked up. And it's a very challenging target-to-target course that looks tough, but plays tougher. But then you look back at the end and you're like, what in the heck just happened? Right? Now, Scottie Scheffler runs away with it, and he's playing unbelievable golf, and he's reclaimed the number one spot in golf ahead of my guy, John Rahm. So why? What makes TPC Sawgrass so hard? Well, the beauty of that golf course, before we even get to 16, 17, and 18, is that golf course, designed by Pete Dye many, many years ago, focuses on different components and facets of the game. It forces you to have to play different shots. So, for instance, number one, you play a cut off the tee, and on number two, you have to hit a draw. Number three is a par three. Number four, you got to hit a cut, and if you miss the fairway, you're going to have to lay up because you're not going to carry the water in front of the green. Number five, another cut. Number six, a little bit of a draw. Number seven, every single shot throughout that golf course demands something different. It doesn't have any holes that look the same, act the same, and it puts each player on point. Now, the other thing that's great about it that I love is going when I'm on tour is I can see just about 2 or 3 holes at a time. You get on the back nine and you're standing near 11. You can watch the play on 10, 11, teeing off on 12, coming down 14, coming up 15. It's built for viewers and spectators. I love that because that's what golf needs. It's that stadium feel. And that's what we love about Augusta is that you can hear the roars throughout the trees on a Sunday afternoon. Well, that's what you get at TPC Sawgrass. But why it's so challenging mentally is that it demands something. And if you watch, as Scottie Scheffler was coming up the 18th hole, he blocked his drive way right on 18. And the reason for it was he couldn't go left. He had a big lead. And when he hit that approach shot, his third shot onto the green, he just let out just an exacerbated sigh. Whew. And I think a lot of times people look at a player playing with Scottie is, it's one of those things where people are like, playing like Scottie, and they look at that and they think he's playing great. In reality, he's having to battle. Bash, what do you love about that tournament? When you watch Sawgrass, what are you loving about it?
I think the biggest thing for me is just the overcoming, and I think you're going to talk about this, but just overcoming the fear on 17 when it's a normal, like you said before, a 135, 140 shot, but you're dealing with so many different elements. And just the water is just a massive danger in my mind. But those guys are so good that make it look easy.
And here's the other thing too, from a strategic standpoint, right? From a strategic standpoint, you're coming down 16 and it's a par 5 that's reachable in 2. You had a good drive and play, you're going to go. And it starts amping up the body and the adrenaline starts pumping. It's a 3 or a 4, let's go. And there's risk there, there's danger. But for the most part, if you make a mistake, you're going to make par, right? But then the next problem is, and the next challenge is, now you make your birdie, you pumping up, but as you're standing on that green, the players are looking over at 17. And I can tell you from my players, they will think about where that pin is from the day they get there. They're already thinking about 17. They're not ignoring the water. They're not ignoring that. And I hear that a lot of times in the mental game is like, act like nothing's there. It's no big deal. Are you kidding me? There's water and risk all over the place. You have to focus on the purpose of the shot you want to hit, not the prevention. And what they're good at is being able to say, I'll be over there in a minute. But now they're focusing on the things that matter. And they're focusing on the shot that they want to hit. Okay? They're focusing on what they want to do. If they make a mistake, now they go into the next stage. But we know once they're on that walk, it's about 150 steps to the 17th tee. They've got to slow down the heart rate because now it's not power, it's finesse. They're going to hit a wedge or a gap wedge, knowing that if they go long, they have to go to the drop zone. If they miss it left or right, they're going to the drop zone. There's no dropping on the green. Okay? They have to go to the drop zone or re-tee. So now in their mind, a mistake is not just a 3. It may be a 5, 6, 7, or 8. It's catastrophic. And so as they're playing, those thoughts are starting to run. And you can see them when they hit a shot and it lands on the green, there's a sense of relief, like, whew, okay, averted danger today. They're just like you and me. They're just better at what they do and managing. Now, here's an interesting fact. I always find this interesting. When you go do the practice rounds on 17, and I spent a lot of time on that green, right? Nobody ever goes over to the practice area, the drop zone, and hits a shot. And one of the questions I always have is, why not? And players will tell me, well, I don't want to think about it. But if we're going to struggle, we got to know what's the risk. So it's something to think about.
So big mistakes happen, big money happens, right? And so those losses happen. And I know not one of those players wanted to do that, but you're talking major, major mistakes that cost millions of dollars. This is the biggest purse in PGA history. $25 million. The winner, Scotty Scheffler, won $4.5 million. 8 players won 7 digits, right? Why? What happens? Pressure builds. They're just trying to get into it in the house, and everybody faces. What I want you guys to understand is that players, even out on tour, are going through much of the same issues. It's hard. Every single player I work with has stress, fear, doubts, insecurities, everything. They're going through each and every bit of it. Okay? So what do we need to do? We need to work our process. We need to get in the spot and accept the fact that the big things are in there, okay? And the big elements are there. But most importantly, that they're trained for that. Here's the hard thing about all competition. I think we can learn from Sawgrass. In big competitions, we have to understand that the way we train is here, the way we compete normally is here, but then all of a sudden we go to those bigger moments and it gets more difficult. Noise picks up, doubts pick up, stress picks out, we don't move. Players will tell me they don't feel like they're turning as well. Pitchers in big games feel like they're overthrowing, all those things. And it happens to every single player. You who are struggling with it doesn't mean that you are different. It's just that they're better at dealing with those moments. Now let's talk about one other really cool thing. The World Baseball Classic is going on. And I know it's not like the World Cup in football or soccer or European football. But I have to laugh, right? If you haven't seen Great Britain's jersey, like, come on, Great Britain. You've been around a long time. You got to get a designer to help you. I mean, they just took plain old Microsoft Word font and put it and slapped it on a jersey. You can do better than that. But the World Baseball Classic is a lot of fun because it brings guys across to represent their country. And baseball's done that in amateur stuff. But the thing about it is, in the professional level, it's kind of new. I know we've done it a couple times. But players love to compete for their country. And as a result, enthusiasm is higher, the bonding is higher, and most importantly, they play harder. Now, we often look at professional sports and say, well, why can't we do that all the time? If you're a coach, you can find that. Get them to buy into a cause and a purpose. And most importantly, they will play to that level if they're bought in. You don't have to play for your flag to have that level of buy-in. But what's so cool about the World Baseball Classic, they're playing hard, they're having fun, they're goofing around, they're having a great time representing their country. We can do that every time we play. Stop being so hard on yourself and thinking it has to be perfect. When we come back, we're going to dive into the yips.